Okay, there we go. Hello, everyone. I am Julian Carvajal. I am wearing a black t-shirt. I have glasses. They are green. I have short grayish hair. And in my background, you can see lots of artwork from multiple artists as well. I am Latinx, so in my case, I'm a light-skinned Latino from Colombia. And it is my pleasure to be here with all of you today and see so many familiar faces as well. Before we start, I just want to acknowledge that we have a beautiful, beautiful day. Today it is, sorry, if you don't mind just turning off your microphones. And today it is actually Wednesday, March the 15th of 2023. The temperature is -2 degrees, but it feels like -9. But as indigenous people mentioned, the grandfather sun came this morning and it was so beautiful, like at 7 a.m. you could see kind of like it was taking it there. So it was very, very beautiful to see those. Thank you so much, Maria. Oh, sorry for that comment. Yes, I also have an accent from that region. So this is my way to acknowledge something that I have been doing, and I'm very happy to, sorry, I'm just gonna change my screen. This is not the right screen that I wanted to share with you. There we go. I was in the wrong screen. I'm sorry about that. Okay. Preview. There we go. So at the City of Toronto, we have been working in partnership with different artists to develop this land acknowledgement. At Street Art Toronto, we acknowledge that we acknowledge that the land currently referred as Toronto is a traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Chippewa, and other nations, and Anishinaabe, the Seneca, Oneida, Mohawk, and other from the Shawnees nations, and the Huron-Wendat people. Takaronto is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13, signed by the Mississaugas of the Credit, and the Williams Treaty signed with multiple Mississaugas of the Chippewa bands. The land acknowledgement above has been developed based on the work with, connections to, and directions from community partners and artists. Back to you, Catherine.
Thank you very much, Julian. Before we hear from our curators, we're going to do a presentation of the Outside the Box. I'm experiencing a bit of feedback. Is everything okay with the sound now, Julian?
Yes, it's fine.
Thank you. So thank you again. It's a pleasure to have everybody here online. Thank you for taking your time out of your day to be here with us. We have an incredible team behind Outside the Box, which you'll hear a little bit more from. And we always say at Street Art Toronto, so there's always more than, you know, the paint that goes on a mural. There's a community behind all of the murals and a whole crew of people that have been working hard on this program. And we'll again hear a bit more from them today. So again, welcome. Next slide, please. So people often think that building roads and filling potholes when they think of transportation services. So that's the division that we're in. But streets comprise upwards of 90% of public space in Toronto. And creating artwork in this space safely requires the cooperation of many sections within the Transportation Services Division. The work of the division also includes encouraging active transportation like cycling and walking, and nothing makes our streets more compelling for these activities than the vibrant artwork done by our Toronto-based artists. START is uniquely different from virtually all other arts-related programs because it's always been more than just the art. It's always been about city building at the strategic and operational level. From inception, it was an integral part of the graffiti management plan and a proactive way to influence the current and next generation of potential taggers. And in this way, it was immediately embedded with historically voiceless and marginalized communities. And the objective was not just to paint over tags, but to build strong and lasting relationships with communities and transition negative attitudes and behaviors to positive and creative ones. Next slide, please. Last year, Street Art Toronto celebrated its 10th anniversary, and we're super excited to say that Outside the Box is celebrating its 10th year anniversary this year. And it has evolved its programs and practices over the years, all with a view to ensuring that they are rooted in a set of values. And again, we say at start, it's more than a pretty picture. Decorations the projects have a focus on diversity and inclusion. They're both in terms of the artists we work with and the themes of the artwork. Our projects are also artist and neighborhood centered. Mentorship is baked into them from the outset, and community engagement happens at the deep level of relationship building and trust building. In these ways, START provides highly visible platforms with the public realm and online, and has been successful in stimulating conversations and knowledge exchange amongst diverse groups throughout the city, all while supporting artists, cultural producers, curators, and even mural prep crew workers along their career development. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. Next slide, please. Thank you. So we have the START programs, as I mentioned earlier, are rooted in these set of values to support the meaningful artwork that demonstrates positive engagement among residents, business owners, and operators, artists and arts organizations. And these are some of our strategic objectives. I've mentioned a few of them: exploring the active transportation, maintaining infrastructure, a good state of repair. And really, we'll often talk about the heart of all of our programs is that mentorship. So mentoring emerging talent. Next slide, please.
That one? This one?
Sure, thank you. That sounds good. So we have here our 10 programs. Thank you, Julian, for moving the slides. We're going to talk mostly today about the Outside the Box program. But 10 years ago, we started with 2 programs, and we've grown to these 10 value-based programs through a pilot project process. Programs still in the pilot process now include the START Exchange program that involves international exchanges, and expand to include artist exchanges with artists on reserves, as well as artists from other cities across Canada. There's also a START, what we call START Next Gen pilot program that supports graffiti and mural artists pushing boundaries of the genre. And we're always looking for ways to celebrate the graffiti art throughout the city. Just a quick run through of some of our programs. We have the Outside the Box program we're going to feature today. Concrete Barrier program, that's a program that is a call to emerging and established artists living in Toronto. Designs selected may be considered for a digitally print wrap or a painted barrier, and you may have seen some of those barrier projects while you're out cycling across the city. The START support program. So this is a program for private property owners experiencing repeated graffiti vandalization. They can apply for up to $2,000 worth of materials, and it is an application-based program. The partnership program is a private public grant program for murals with a maximum of $60,000. A grant per project. It's open to nonprofit organizations, individual artists, artist collectives, and BIAs. And again, in that project, the community groups work with the community to create a large-scale project that really involves multiple community members. The startup program is a call to artists. It's a request for expression of interest. So it's open to mid-career and established artists. Their mentorships are provided, and it's a roster-based program. START Monumental was launched in 2019. It's also open to artists and artist collectives, and it's for artists that are ready to work on a swing stage, so creating pieces that are 14 stories and up. And then we have all our special calls. At the moment, there is a call out for the Just Us mural program, and you'll see other calls that are coming out during the year. And we have finally the Start School, which is a fairly new program. It's open to exploring collaborations. If there's a project we are partnering on with either special projects, artists going into schools, it's open to all artists and artist collectives. So more information about all these programs can be found on our website, and if you follow us on social media, and stay tuned for all of the calls coming up. Here are some of the themes. We'll talk a little bit about this, how this relates to outside the box, but these are some of the project's themes that have been developed by some of our communities and community members and artists. So all of these themes you'll find on the murals around the city, and in particular, we'll have a focus on some of the boxes in the slides coming up. Thank you, Julian. So this outside the box is strategically connected to the Start's career ladder that I mentioned earlier, and offers an entry point for artists to start their careers in mural and street art by painting on these small canvases. It provides mentorship to help emerging artists grow by connecting them to a wide network of experienced artists and creative community members. Here's some of the great murals done by some of the artists around the city: Erica James, Johnji Kim, Daniela Roca, and Franny Potts. So here's the Start Career Ladder. So again, it consists of a suite of programs, and they're intentionally designed to provide artists with canvases ranging in the small from traffic signal boxes, concrete barriers. We also celebrate projects in our community programs of laneway projects, going up to small walls and large walls and tall buildings. And through this career ladder, we also provide opportunities for artists to take workshops and do professional development, and also getting their certificates that they need, like they're working at heights and all that safety components that they really need to do their job really well out on the streets. The program was launched in 2013. Again, super excited that we're in our 10th year, really with the aim of beautifying traffic signal boxes, preventing graffiti vandalism, and providing opportunities for artwork to contribute to the vitality and attractiveness of the streetscape. You'll see a before and an after. To date, over 650 boxes have been hand painted or wrapped across the city. Some of the program goals for outside the box. So again, make the streets more appealing, showcase local artists, mentor emerging talent, strengthen the sense of belonging and place of pride within communities. We often hear from community members about how meaningful these bright, colorful, attractive pieces are while they're waiting for their local bus to come, or they're just bringing a group of school children across, walking along the street. Partners and collaborators involved. So there are lead artist curators who you're going to meet in a moment. Of course, we have local artist coordinators. It says here 2 to 3. I think we're having 4 coordinators this year, and these coordinators really work with the artist on the streets. They check in on them on a weekly, daily basis, and make sure that they're getting lots of support in the program. We have photographers and videographers. We have people out there helping to clean the boxes, priming, anti-graffiti coating. And we do have an artist mentor for first-time artists who haven't painted a piece outdoors in the public realm. So that artist mentor will work alongside the artist. And there we do between 50 and 75 boxes per year. We found that the project duration of these murals last 5+ years, and we've had murals that have been on some of the boxes for 10 years when we started, and some of them are really in still great condition, and some of them we have been developing a system of going back to the boxes and looking at doing some redos in the starting this year, actually. So we know that these are lasting for this length of time, and again, bringing so much joy in the city. There's over 200 applications annually. I started with START in 2016, and I've been involved with Outside the Box since I started in 2016, but have really noticed an increase in the applications. And I think last year we received over 230 applications. So that's it's a lot of applications, and we're really wanting to meet some of the new artists that are applying. And just saying, we'll give you some tips in a moment, but don't be discouraged if you apply and don't get accepted in 1 year. You have to, you let us know and you keep applying. And so we really do want to hear from you. The Outside of the Box program has reduced the city's infrastructure maintenance cost by counteracting the graffiti vandalism. We know this. And that's why we want to get more artwork out on these boxes. The designs connected to the theme of diversity, inclusion, and gender widespread community support and generate more eyes on the street. So there's even like people that have done scavenger hunts about these boxes, or have done different games around the city. Thank you, Julian. So I think the application typically opens in February and closes in April. That's usually our typical system of the application. Artist application must reside in Toronto. It's not the case for all of our programs, but because this is an entry level for our Toronto-based artists, we really want to ensure that the artists receiving the boxes are local artists from Toronto, GTA. There's a minimum of one design per application. I think in 10 years ago when we started, there was room to have more, but because the program now is so popular and there's so many amazing artists out there, we unfortunately can only offer one design per application. We've increased the fee this year to $1,000 for the design and the installation fee per box. And boxes must be completed over a designated 1 week period to facilitate that box coding. So once we get on the street with the program, it does happen quite quickly, but you will get the support that you need in order to complete that. And there's always lots of support with coordinators should anything come up. We're always very flexible with artists working on the streets. And final project must reflect the jury selected design, which I think you'll hear a little bit more when we speak to Michael Kavanaugh and Ksenia. So next slide, please. Here's some of the successful designs on the street are typically those that not only beautify the public realm, but also help to combat graffiti vandalization. So you can see here in Caitlin's piece, examples of minimal blank white space without designs that look like tags. So we can walk up and see that this is an artist's work. Clever designs that make use as much of the box as possible. So often if we see, we know this from experience, if we see like a big chunk of the box that's painted without any design element on it, it's a perfect place for somebody to walk by and put their name on it or put a tag on it. So what we're trying to deter. So this is the template. If you've gone onto the website and looked at the application, you'll see that there is a template here to download and put your design directly on here. Designs must be in color because if they're in black and white, we're not sure what they'll look like out on the street. Showcase all sides of your on your design. And designs should be of high quality. And what we mean by that is to really ensure that it's fulsome and it's dark. So for instance, if you were using pencil crayons to create your design and you did it really lightly, we wouldn't really be able to really envision what the design would look like on the street. So again, design should be in high quality. Here are some of the themes. So nature, animals, diversity. We're going to hear in a moment from some of the artists that are speaking, and so we thought we would showcase some of their work. And I think you'll see a little bit more in a moment. And here's how to stay informed. We'll put those website addresses and social media in the chat as well for you to stay connected with us. And we're always open to answer any questions about Outside the Box. If you want to send us an email at our Street Art Toronto account. And I think that's it for me right now, but maybe over to Julian to introduce the next speaker.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Catherine. So it is my pleasure to introduce to you Michael Kavinoff. Michael has been involved in Out of the Box projects from its inception, and it is my pleasure to welcome you here. Michael today will be leading the conversation with the artist. And just give me a second, Michael. You can unmute. There you go. You can unmute yourself now.
Thank you, Julian. Yes, welcome everybody. Thanks for taking time to come here. And hopefully we can get to your questions shortly. We're going to have a little bit of an introduction here. We're going to present a couple of artists who have done boxes already, and they will do a brief description of their experience and how that works for them. And then we will certainly look forward to answer your questions in about 10 minutes or so once the panelists have finished. So we have the two artists we have that are going to talk about their work are Aaron McCluskey and Luis Cisneros. And Aaron has a lot of experience painting boxes, utility boxes. And Luis is a bit of a newcomer. Last year, it was his first time. And he did benefit from the mentoring aspect that we have for our program. So he was helped out. Again, this is, as Catherine explained, the entry-level project for Street Art Toronto. So we really are, trying to get as many people as possible to get into the murals and the street art. So we do everything we can to help that and make sure that new people are being brought in every year and given the opportunity to enter it. So let me start, if I could call in Aaron McCluskey. Is she here? There she is, right in my face. Okay, Aaron, would you like to talk a little bit about your experience painting traffic signal boxes in the city of Toronto with us?
Sure. Hello, I'm Erin. I've painted 3 boxes so far for the city. I've also had unsuccessful applications, so you don't get it every year. But it was actually the first mural that I ever made was with this program. So I was really nervous that first year, that was 2018. And yeah, I think that I have a lot of, I do have some experience making this. And if anyone has any, questions, I mean, there's a lot of support here during the process. So, I don't think you have to worry about it if you don't know a lot going in. But the mural community is really supportive in the city. And, I found that every year, we have an intro thing like this with all of the artists, and you end up sort of meeting a lot of them and then getting to know them. And then suddenly you're just part of this community, and you have people who come and visit you on sites, people who will come and, pick up a paintbrush and say, you need any help? So it's a really great community to be a part of. What I liked about the the boxes, we don't know where you're going to be put in general. And so it's all throughout the city. And I've gotten to go to different neighborhoods that I wasn't really familiar with. And just, it's really fun to see, for people walking by, to see the box kind of grow within the week that you're working on it. People are super excited what's going to turn out to look like, and they'll definitely engage with you throughout the process. And yeah, I really like, my focus when I make a mural. I want to make something really bright and colorful, an exciting spot that you can see from far away and go, what's that? What's that? That's different somehow. And then when you come up close, it has lots of nice fun details. Like, oh, what's that over here? And I like to think about, some people you can do either sides, or you can wrap the design around. Some people have done this kind of effect where, sort of like an optical illusion. So there's a lot of ways you can experiment with your art. Yeah.
Okay. Next up. Thank you for that, Aaron. It's great. And next up, Luis.
Hi, everyone.
There he is.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for having me. Well, my experience, as you heard, it was the first year. So I have two amazing people that they were mentoring me. That was Lula and Gasali, and they were really amazing artists. My experience, it was wonderful. The box that I got, it was located, it is located at the between Front and St. George Street, just really close to St. Lawrence Market. And it was really amazing experience. One of the things that happened is, like, you have people, especially it was a really busy street, you have a lot of people who are stopping their cars, and like there was a lot of reactions for little kids that they were screaming, like, I love your box. And it was really cute to hear that, to have that experience. There were a lot of tourists too. That's the box. So there were a lot of people from the neighborhood. There were tourists. There were people who they were just walking to St. Lawrence Market, and they approach you and they start asking you questions. They ask you questions about your artwork, but also they ask you questions about the program. So it was really interactive in those terms. So I was prepared, since I got into this meeting the year before, and they prepared us for that, to have interactions with the public. So it was really amazing to be painting, but also to have those conversations about what are you painting, what is your box about, and it was really amazing. And the other conversations that I have with people who have more experience within this program, with my mentor, that it was Lola, we have conversations about themes and other boxes. She showed me her work too, and that was really important for me, just to learn some tips, and to feel that I was supported. And also, again, I didn't have any experience painting a box, so it was really amazing. And yeah, I have so much fun, and it was incredible. And also to hear feedback from the community, how meaningful it is for the neighborhood. I have people who reach me on my social media, and they tag me, and they, that I saw you painting. I know that you were busy, but I'm sending you pictures when I saw you painting, and I wanted to let you how much we like the box. Thank you so much for your work. So that was also really meaningful, that I even, like, weeks later that I was there, like, people were still reaching. And yeah, so I met a few other artists that they were walking by. They don't paint murals, but they do different things, and they were really engaging too. And it's one of the things that I really enjoy, like being in the public and interacting with the community. I hear the feedback. It was really positive. And again, just even people, there were people visiting from Barcelona, and that was really amazing, that also they love this program. They didn't know that it existed. They don't have it in their city, and it was really cool. So yeah, thank you.
Hello. Okay, thank you for that, Luis. Wonderful. Okay, let's jump into the questions here. I know that a lot of people have some questions. We're going to get to them. I'm going to start. If you have the chat open, that's a good idea. A lot of questions are being asked in the chat section. And I would start with one here. Are all the boxes always hand painted, or can the boxes be wrapped as well? For this call, we are only accepting submissions for hand painted boxes. We have 50 or so boxes that are available for painting this year. So that would be it. There's questions about details for the applications. Again, we have included links into the presentation, and to this presentation, and they will lead to the application, which has all the technical and specific details. Also, you can email me at, again, the links given earlier, and I'm happy to answer you by email any questions. So here's a question, a common one. What are recommendations for the type of paint? So basically what you want is a good quality acrylic paint. And by the way, any experienced artists who want to jump in and comment on my comments, I'm happy to accommodate that as well. But the paint, yes. So any good latex-based outdoor paint basically is what we were looking at. We have golden is a good type of acrylic as well. You can use acrylic paints on them too, to a point. The best thing is to use the latex for the overall paint. And then they do get a clear coating afterwards, as Catherine said, so that makes sure they're well protected. So water-based paint only though, although we do have some sprays available. Okay, the online application has been posted in the chat by Ksenia. Sorry, thank you, Ksenia. Okay. When painting the boxes with acrylic, do they dry quickly, or should we expect to work in layers? They dry very quickly. I wouldn't worry about trying to make them dry. One of the things is watch out for the weather when you're painting, right? Obviously, not going to paint when it's wet, or raining, but also do not paint when it's too hot. If you're at risk of sunstroke or heat stroke, anything, safety is the most important concern of ours, safety of the participants out there. So yeah, if it's not, obviously if it's raining, you're not going to paint, or if there's risk of thunderstorm, but it's also heat is an issue. So you're going to have coordinators, and you'll all be assigned a coordinator. You work with coordinators. They'll be very helpful on a day-to-day basis to help you with specific questions and how to proceed. Again, template's been posted. Is it possible to connect with a mentor to get feedback before submitting the application? Yes, you can send any questions you have about the application to myself, Michael Kavanaugh, at trafficboxmurals@gmail.com, and I'm happy to give feedback on any questions or design. Are the mentorship programs available for outside of those accepted applicants? Not with this program. This is just mentoring people who haven't accepted to paint one of the traffic signal boxes. So what kind of materials do you recommend? Again, good quality paint. They're not provided by the program because different artists have different paint. So some use brushed acrylic, some use spray, whatever. If you have any questions about material, again, shoot us an email, and we're happy to give you any specifics if you have a type of product that you're looking to get it in. Is it possible to collaborate on a box? Catherine, can I ask you to answer that question about more than one artist working on a box?
Yeah, absolutely, Michael. And thank you. Great question. We have considered it in the past. However, after some investigation of the safety of artists, we recommend that one artist paints the box, and also to align it with the career ladder. It's really for an individual artist. We do have other projects that have opportunities for artists to collaborate in, but outside the box is really for one individual artist. And sometimes, as you can see, the boxes out there on the street, sometimes they're pretty tight, you know, between the street and the painting surface. We do, when we're selecting boxes, we do have a site inspection and a safety look at where the box is into proximity of a bike lane or a lane of traffic. So again, we're just keeping the artist's safety 100% in mind with that. So thank you again for that question.
Okay, yes. And here's another question for you, Catherine. Judy asks, what percentage of the successful applicants are new at murals versus experienced? What does it help significantly to have mural experience to get accepted to paint a traffic signal box?
Yeah, and thanks. Another really great question. I think what we're finding more and more over the years that artists that have done a few boxes, it's one of the reasons why years ago we developed this career ladder, because after you've done a couple of boxes, then it's time to kind of maybe think about moving up that career ladder and see what other kinds of surfaces you might want to be interested in painting. And then you can also come back to the program and become a mentor. And so we are seeing more and more new artists join our roster of artists for the year. I would say that last year, we had at least a 60% new people join the team for 2022. And I think that's why we added an extra mentorship component last year to the roster. And I think in terms of showcasing on the application, I think what's most important is that the design that you create for your box that you're putting in for the application, that you have support material to showcase that you can create that design on the box. So if you haven't, for instance, if you haven't had a lot of painting experience, that might be something that you might want to consider before you apply to the program, because we do want to see some examples of that. You can also talk to us and we can give recommendations for various other activities that you might be able to get yourself prepped to do that. And again, but if you have, I think it's a perfect opportunity for those who have painted multiple pieces on canvas or on paper and are really looking to kind of explore that next step in starting to get into murals. So again, the outside the box is a great size to take a first step at doing that. I hope that answers the question.
Okay. Is there a preference for the application to use digital drawing using photos of an existing painting, etc.? If I understand that question, the nature of how you apply or do your drawing, you could include that, you could use that. Just keep in mind that the better we can see what you're doing, the more likely to help our decision, right? So I would try to be as clear as possible in illustrating what it is you're going to do in the box. Keep in mind that, to Catherine's point, painting outside can be a big challenge, right? So it's not like painting in a studio or in a room on a canvas. You have traffic, you have noise, you have weather, you have people walking by saying things. So, it's not, you don't have the concentration that you have in a room by yourself. So it's good if you have some experience working in an outside environment and are able to handle that. Okay, so there's a question from Nafisa. For artists who have just come to Canada and there's their first experience, how can they send their previous works of art? While they are painters, they are artists. I guess to share Yeah, any JPEGs, any photos of your previous work. So maybe you don't have them. Is that, I'm not sure what you mean, Nafisa. So I mean, obviously we need to see some example of your work. But again, shoot me an email. And again, my email is trafficboxmurals@gmail.com. That's trafficboxmurals@gmail.com. Yes, that is in fact the email. Okay, so moving on to questions. Images required to be flat right now. No, because of the nature of that box, and we need flat images, not nothing that comes out from the surface. How would the painting schedule work for an artist that works for a full-time job? Well, I guess I'll ask Catherine to pitch in on this, but again, we have a set period that we have to work with. And so you have to be able to commit to being able to paint during that week. What are your comments on that, Catherine?
Yeah, thanks, Michael. I think that, it's always our hope to give you enough advance warning in order to produce the box. Perhaps that you could ask your work if you could have a few days off. We would let you know in advance, and you can also in the application you could select the weeks that you are available to work. But I think, as Aaron mentioned in the chat, that that you can paint later on after work in the evenings. Some artists also like to get up really early and do some work before the sun comes up. So there is an option to work to make it work for you in terms of your workload. And again, weekends, some artists are out there on weekends. We're always really thinking about, again, the safety of you on the street. So there are certain times that our traffic colleagues will ask that we have a certain time when we're on the street. So we don't tend to paint during rush hour times, but sometimes that, like later on in the afternoon, that's really a hot time when the sun is out anyways, and it's very busy. So again, lots of artists choose to paint in the evening before the sun goes down. And you also will have an artist coordinator, and that person is there for support. So if something comes up and you did, in the scenario, take a couple of days off work, and then your work says no, you have to come back, you can't have that time, then we would just make sure it could work for you, and try our best to kind of accommodate the whole schedule, but also keeping in mind that artists have real challenges for work, and we want to be open to that. So again, it's just talking it out with your coordinator, and trying to make it work in the best scenario.
Yes, thank you, Catherine. As Catherine said, so just to be clear, this scheduled painting is for the last 2 weeks of June. And in the application, you will have the option of indicating which of the 2 weeks you will be available to paint. So you need to be available during the time that you commit to. I see that, yeah, Erin comments, she said, I often paint in the evening when it's cooler. Again, the weather's a big factor. The last 2 weeks of June, it can be anything. And again, we're accommodating, we understand that. Again, as Catherine said, your coordinator, and if you have a mentor, we're very understanding, and work around with the limitations of the weather. We can't control the weather. You can't control the weather. So we'll just work the best we can. I got a note that Ksenia, I haven't really introduced you yet, so I'm going to pull you up here. Ksenia Tasoy is working with us. She's one of the curators, amazing artist, and done lots. Ksenia just posted a great description of some of the supplies. So why don't you just introduce yourself here so people can see who you are, and maybe comment on your experience painting the boxes.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Michael. Hi, everyone. My name is Ksenia. I go by K, my initial. It is my great pleasure to be here today and be assistant curator to Michael Cavanaugh, because I consider Michael my lifetime mentor. I started doing murals and started doing art and generally only in 2019, 2020. And outside of the box was my first mural in the city of Toronto. Another program that Michael runs, Bellbox Murals, was my mural ever generally. So I'm very thankful for this kind of opportunities for sure. And I really encourage those of you who might be new to mural art to definitely apply. Speaking as someone who was rejected when I applied for the first time to this particular program outside the box, and someone who was eventually accepted, I only can say that first time I applied, I thought I understood that maybe it's a design sketch and I only can just, provide some rough idea. And if I submit my previous works that could kind of show what I have done, I probably would be accepted, but it wasn't true. I think that it is so important. It's like integral for you to submit a design that is pretty much final. It's what you would like to put forward. It's in the colors that you suggest, because you will be pretty much assessed by what you put forward for what you submit. So I definitely encourage you to create very good design, put your time into that, create it again as final as possible, and just there. And also don't be afraid to be bold. I feel also being a curator and seeing a lot of applications, it's a lot of applications. It's 200, more than 200. So you have to stand out. You have to stand out either in style or in subject matter or colors that you use, or even culturally. For example, the design that was accepted for the first time was, I'm from Uzbekistan myself. And so it is important to me to showcase that culture of my heritage. So I put it forward and it was actually selected. A lot of artists I know, just from talking to many artists out there, are a little bit intimidated creating something culturally representing, because you may feel that, maybe it's too specific and people don't like it. But I kind of encourage you to think that way, because the motto of the city that we live in is diversity is our strength. And I think you can, if you look through all the applications and accepted projects with START, a lot of them are very culturally inspired. And that's my one another suggestion, to actually think that route and perhaps introduce your culture to the city. You only will enrich it, I believe. Yeah, that's about it. If you have any questions, you please feel free to add them in the chat, and I will be personally happy to reply, and or even by the social media. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Ksenia. Back to the questions here. Here's one about timelines. So that's a good question. So the deadline for the application is April the 3rd. And so we have a few weeks for that. And the artist will be notified in the second week of May. That's when the notifications will be sent out.
I wanted to, Michael, sorry, I just want to mention there is a question about the wraps. So something maybe that you or Catherine might want to talk about, how the program has become more accessible.
Yes, Catherine, you want to address the wraps issue?
Thank you so much. And another great question. We often get the question about wraps, and mostly for the Outside the Box program, it started off as a painting program. And one of the reasons why it lives at that bottom of the career ladder is because we really celebrate painted murals, and we really want to work with artists that are going to be able to expand their careers. So we really honor and celebrate those painted boxes. However, we do have different wrap calls out during the year. Last year we had a wrap call on our concrete barriers. We also again support diverse artists during some of those calls. You know, occasionally we have also done wraps in our Start School program. So I'm thinking back to 2018 when we worked up at York Seneca College, where we worked with student graduates, where we kind of taught them about the program, and we produced some design wraps up there on the York Seneca campus. So that was really exciting. We often have some of those programs that are developed through those partnerships. But I would say that most of our boxes are for the hand painted ones. And if you are on the call and you're more of a graphic designer and you're more interested in those kinds of calls, please stay tuned on Akimbo. We always put our calls out on Akimbo, or we have them out on our website. And I'll put my email address in the chat too. You can always talk to myself or one of our team members just about where you're at in your career and what you'd like to see. There's also on our website what we call the REOI, so the request for expression of interest, where you can actually go in and you can make an application, or it's more like a portfolio where you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're at in your career and what kinds of opportunities you'd like to see through the work that we do in the city. So I encourage you to always stay tuned on our social media, and as well on Akimbo. Sign up for Akimbo.
Thank you, Catherine. Lenora's asked, what happens if it rains the day after you painted? Will that ruin progress? No, the acrylic will dry fairly quickly. Within an hour, it's pretty well dry. Just don't, if it's a forecast, I mean, again, just be sensible. If it's forecast rain, I wouldn't paint right before it's about to rain. Yes, Louise.
I would like to share my experience with that. So the week that I was painting, it rained actually 2 days.
Mhm.
So I always check the phone before starting my day, and I checked that if that day it was going to rain. So the first day actually it just stayed a little bit, so it didn't rain that much, but I decided to not paint because it really affects the acrylic that I was using. But the next day it was perfectly fine. It didn't ruin the mural, what I painted before, so I didn't affect it all. So I just waited like for the rain to pass. A few hours later it was fine, and I started to paint in the evening, so it was perfect. And I had another day that it really poured the entire day, so I didn't paint. And I recommend just to be flexible and count that towards your days that are you're gonna count to paint. So try to organize, like, have a cushion of time, because like, again, as Michael has said, like, we cannot prevent the weather. And yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. Just looking through this. Yesenia says, everyone is encouraged to apply, even if this would be your first mural. Yes, just read the application carefully, submit a good quality design in full color on a template provided, not on templates. Artist designs not on templates won't be considered. Think outside the box. Yeah. Again, not everybody's accepted the first time. So what else do we, scrolling through the questions here, people are answering them. Okay, I don't see any more questions here that haven't been answered in chat.
So I just want to take this opportunity to thank you all for joining us and to remind you that this upcoming Friday, March the 17th, we are running our health and wellness session happening from 10:30 a.m. until 12 p.m. If you would like to participate, these are totally free. You can register. What am I sending? Sorry, I'm sending the QR code. You can use the QR code that I just posted there. Or you can just register by linking on the Eventbrite link that I just posted. Once again, this is something that is happening every year for the past 3 years, if I'm not mistaken, Catherine. But that's the registration. Actually, Tansina, who is the curator of that program, is here. And I just wanted to mention that free publicity for our upcoming event this Friday from 10:30 a.m. until 12 p.m. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you for that and all your incredible assistance in this presentation, Julian. And that's about it for me. I'm going to just turn it over to Catherine. But first, I just want to say thank you very much for coming. And if you have any questions, remember, you can email me, Michael Kavanaugh, at trafficboxmurals@gmail.com. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Michael. I just wanted to end by, on behalf of Street Art Toronto, I want to thank everybody for coming today. It's been a pleasure to hold this space with you for the last hour. I know everybody's time is so valuable, so thank you for being here. Also wanted to just a shout out to the amazing Outside the Box team. And you haven't met everybody here today, the coordinators, but Ksenia, Michael, Julian, and also Luis and Aaron for being here with us as artists. Catherine Curran, who is our new team member with START, and all the wonderful artists that are here. Again, you know, some people think that we're the big city and you don't have access to speaking to us, but I put my email in there. We've all of our coordinators, our curators have put our emails in. Please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. We love to hear from you. And yeah, we're just excited to be putting out these artworks in the city, and stay tuned for more. And please stay in touch. Thank you all so much.
Bye, everyone.
Adios. Wow. So many appreciative comments at the end.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank
So
you
good
for
to see
thanking
you.
us. Thank you for thanking us.
Nice.
I'm just grateful to be here. Although I will be going shortly. But
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
oh yeah,
It's
you're
really
great.
fun.
Oh, I really appreciated your feedback. You're so
That's great advice that you gave everyone.
yeah.
I hope they can make one.
Luis, so good to see you too. Your work is so amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for inviting me. This was amazing. Yeah, like it was amazing to share my experience, and it's a beautiful program. So thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. We definitely remember you sharing your experience from the past year. So that was lovely on your behalf to be so, you know, open about how it worked for you. And like, it's a great inspiration for others.
Thank you very much, and looking forward to apply for this year.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And thank you again for having me. It was really, really touching. So thank you, and have a wonderful day, and see you around.
Luis,
Thank you, Luis.
Thank you. Bye
Hopefully we'll see
now.
you.
Bye.
Erin, so good to see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you as well. I started following you, Louise, after I saw your box last year. I was like, oh, it's amazing. Who is this person?
Thank you so much, Terry, and your work is amazing too. And that's the beautiful about this program, that I get to meet other artists and like, wow,
That's right.
incredible.
Thank
You know,
you
it's so nice to see everyone.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thanks so much for all the effort you put into the presentation too.
Yes,
Thank you. Have a beautiful day.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Okay. So recording? You want to stop recording?
I think we can stop the recording. Let's see. I don't see the button of where to stop that recording, but
Oh, it's okay.
That's okay. Oh, recording here. Oh,